They vanished from roads years ago, but these French automotive marvels were so forward-thinking that modern cars are still catching up today. From revolutionary designs to groundbreaking technology, these vehicles were decades ahead of their competition and then disappeared. Some were too advanced for their own good, while others fell victim to economic troubles, but all of them deserve to be remembered. 1. Citroen DS, 1955 to 1975. When the Citroen DS was unveiled at the 1955 Paris Motor Show, it looked like it had arrived from another planet. In the first 15 minutes of the show, 743 orders were placed. By the end of day one, that number reached 12,000. What made the DS so special? It featured the world's first high-drop pneumatic self-leveling suspension system. This gave the car a magic carpet-like ride quality that even luxury cars today struggle to match. The system also allowed the car to maintain a constant height regardless of load or road conditions. The DS also pioneered disc brakes, semi-automatic transmission, power steering, and a fiberglass roof to lower the center of gravity. Its aerodynamic shape achieved a drag coefficient that would remain impressive even by today's standards. French President Charles de Gaulle even owed his life to a DS. When assassins attacked his motorcade in 1962, shooting out the car's tires, the high-drop pneumatic suspension allowed his driver to escape at high speed despite the flat tires. By the time production ended in 1975, about 1.5 million units had been sold, but financial troubles at Citroën meant development of a true successor stalled, and nothing quite like it has been made since. 2. Renault Avantime, 2001 to 2003. The Renault Avantime might be the strangest luxury car ever built. It was a two-door coupe with the interior space of a minivan, a combination that had never been attempted before or since. The Avantime featured pillarless doors that were almost 6 feet long, double-hinged to open in tight spaces, and a massive panoramic glass roof decades before these became popular in premium vehicles. Its unique dual-distance seats could move backward and down simultaneously, increasing legroom without compromising headroom. The car also featured an aluminum space frame construction, when most manufacturers were still using all-steel bodies. The Avantime was conceived as a bold vision of future transportation, a vehicle that would appeal to empty nesters who wanted the practicality of a minivan but the style of a sports coupe. Unfortunately, it was too unconventional for the market. Only 8,557 were built before production ended in 2003. Making it one of the greatest automotive commercial failures. But features like its panoramic roof and innovative seating concepts have since become mainstream in premium vehicles. 3. Citroen SM, 1970 to 1975. The Citroen SM combined French engineering with Italian power to create one of the most technologically advanced grand touring cars of its era. The SM featured a Maserati-designed V6 engine, front-wheel drive, unusual for a high-performance car, and variable power-assisted steering that became more direct as speed increased. It also inherited the DS high-drop pneumatic suspension, but added even more innovations. The car had directional headlights that swiveled with the steering wheel to illuminate corners, a feature that wouldn't become common on luxury cars until the 2000s. Its aerodynamic design achieved a 0.26 drag coefficient, a figure that remains impressive today. The SM could cruise comfortably at speeds over 120 miles per hour while delivering exceptional fuel economy for its performance class. Road and Track magazine called it the most advanced car in the world in 1972. But the 1973 oil crisis, combined with Citroen's financial troubles and Maserati's bankruptcy, spelled doom for this innovative vehicle. Only 12,920 were produced before production ended in 1975. Decades later, manufacturers began adding swiveling headlights, aerodynamic designs, and variable steering systems to their luxury models, features the SM pioneered in 1970. 4. Renault Espace, 1984 to 1991, first generation. When the original Renault Espace debuted in 1984, it created an entirely new vehicle category in Europe, the minivan. While Chrysler had introduced the concept in North America, the Espace took a completely different approach. The first-generation Espace featured a fiberglass body mounted on a steel frame, more like spacecraft construction than traditional automobile manufacturing. This made it lightweight yet strong and completely resistant to rust. Its interior was revolutionary, with fully independent seats that could be rearranged, removed, or even turned to face each other, creating a mobile living room decades before flexible interiors became an automotive selling point. The Espace was initially rejected by Peugeot, who owned the Chrysler Europe division that designed it, who thought it was too radical. When Renault finally brought it to market, sales started slowly, just 9 units in the first month. But word spread, and by the end of production, the first-generation Espace had sold over 192,000 units. Later generations switched to all-steel construction and grew larger, but the original's innovative space efficiency and flexible interior concepts have influenced virtually every minivan and SUV design since. 5. Panhard Dyna Z, 1954 to 1959. The Panhard Dyna Z was an engineering marvel that prioritized efficiency decades before it became fashionable. At a time when most cars were heavy, fuel-hungry machines, the Dyna Z featured an aluminum body that weighed just 1,650 pounds, about half the weight of comparable American cars of the era. Its aerodynamic shape was tested in wind tunnels when most manufacturers were still designing by eye. The Dyna Z was powered by an unusual air-cooled, 2-cylinder engine that produced 42 horsepower from just 851 cc. Despite this modest output, the car could reach 75 miles per hour and deliver up to 40 Mach, figures that would remain impressive for decades. The car's lightweight construction required innovative solutions, including using aluminum panels bonded to a central structure and plastic windows to save weight. Financial troubles forced Panhard to switch to cheaper steel bodies in later models, and the company eventually ceased car production in 1967 after being acquired by Citroen. But the Dyna Z's focus on lightweight materials, aerodynamics, and efficiency would become central to automotive design 50 years later as manufacturers faced stricter fuel economy standards. 6. Citroen GS, 1970 to 1986. The Citroen GS filled the gap between the company's budget 2CV and luxury DS models, bringing advanced technology to the family car market. The GS featured a fully aerodynamic body with a drag coefficient of 0.31, a figure that remained competitive into the 21st century. It also brought the DS's famous high-drop pneumatic suspension to a mass-market vehicle, offering ride quality that rivaled luxury cars costing many times more. Its air-cooled flat-4 engine was mounted ahead of the front axle, giving the car exceptional interior space for its compact exterior dimensions. The GS also featured 4-wheel disc brakes at a time when most comparable cars still used drum brakes on the rear. The instrument panel replaced traditional dials with a futuristic oval readout containing a speedometer and fuel gauge that seemed straight out of a science fiction movie. Over 1.6 million GS models were sold during its 16-year production run, but as Citroën faced financial issues, technology development stalled. Features like its aerodynamic design and 4-wheel disc brakes eventually became industry standards, while its smooth high-drop pneumatic suspension remains unique to this day. 7. Matra Simca Rancho, 1977 to 1984. The Matra Simca Rancho invented a vehicle category that would become one of the most popular decades later, the crossover SUV. Based on the front section of the Simca 1100 small car, the Rancho added a fiberglass rear body extension to create a rugged-looking, practical vehicle that combined car-like handling with the appearance and practicality of an off-roader. While it lacked 4-wheel drive, the Rancho offered increased ground clearance, plastic body cladding to prevent damage on rough roads, and a highly versatile interior with a split-folding rear seat and enormous cargo area. The automotive press initially mocked it as a fake off-roader, but the buying public understood its appeal: the look and practicality of an SUV without the cost, complexity, and poor fuel economy. When production ended in 1984 after about 57,000 units, the concept seemed to die with it. But 15 years later, vehicles like the Toyota RAV4 and Honda CR-V would launch the crossover SUV boom using almost exactly the same formula: car-based platforms with rugged styling and increased versatility. Today, crossovers account for nearly half of all new vehicle sales in many markets, all following the template the Rancho established in 1977. 8. Facel Vega HK500, 1958 to 1961. The Facel Vega HK500 was France's answer to luxury grand tourers from Aston Martin and Ferrari, combining American power with European craftsmanship. While not technologically revolutionary like other cars on this list, the HK500 was ahead of its time in concept, a high-performance luxury car built in limited numbers with bespoke craftsmanship. This business model would become the standard for exotic car manufacturers decades later. The HK500 featured a 361 cubic inch Chrysler Hemi V8, producing 360 horsepower, giving it a top speed of 147 miles per hour, making it one of the fastest four-seaters of its era. Its hand-built interior featured leather from Hermes, wood from Limoges, and instrumentation that looked like fine jewelry. Famous owners included Pablo Picasso, Ringo Starr, and Ava Gardner, establishing the connection between exotic cars and celebrity that continues today. Unfortunately, Facel's attempt to expand into smaller cars led to financial problems, and the company ceased production in 1964 after building just 489 examples of the HK500. The concept of a low-volume, high-performance luxury grand tourer with a powerful engine and bespoke interior would later become the foundation for brands like Aston Martin, Bentley, and even Ferrari's four-seat models. The story of these 8 French automotive pioneers reminds us that true innovation often comes at a cost. Too advanced, too unusual, or simply victims of bad timing. These vehicles pushed boundaries that the automotive industry is still exploring today. Their legacy lives on in technologies and concepts we now take for granted, proving that sometimes the most visionary ideas are the ones that take decades for the world to fully appreciate.